This is the Transforming Anxiety podcast with mindfulness teacher Kelly Hanlon McCormick. And today is episode number 254, Living Well. My intention for this conversation is that we go way back to the foundation, that we talk about the most foundational base level of the work that we do around here. Welcome in. It's the Transforming Anxiety podcast, episode number 254, Living Well. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. So, it turned into Thursday edition of the Transforming Anxiety podcast instead of our usual Wednesday. So I had some tech issues the other day when I was recording, and I have to tell you, okay, that was annoying, sure, but it also gave me a chance to reflect back on what I'd recorded for you, and I thought I can do better. So I'm not here to say this is going to be A+ work. A lot of you know I don't shoot for A+ anymore. That didn't really serve me. It didn't really work out so well back in the day. I mean, even when you get the A+, like, so what, right? So I don't know how much better this will be than what I recorded for you before, but I have had a chance to think about it some more, and I think I can include some stuff in here that I want in here in this conversation in a different way. So here we go. Take 2, Thursday edition, Living Well. Because this really may be the piece de resistance of the whole freaking podcast right here. I think this is what we've been aiming for. I think this is what I've been talking about. I think this is what I've been teaching and encouraging and wanting for myself and everyone around me for, well, ever. How do we live well? Or actually, let me say that differently. What is living well for you? Because it's going to be very unique to you. Living well is not a blanket protocol. There is no follow these steps, do these things, ABC cookie cutter kind of thing to this. There's a skeleton to it, perhaps, right? A scaffolding maybe, some basic ideas to get us started, sure, but there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all approach to living well. No one but you knows what that is for you, and no one can advise or prescribe your living well plan. In fact, let's not even call it a plan, because that implies that there's expectations and that there's structure and there's rigidity around it. And maybe some of that's helpful. Maybe some of that's useful. Maybe you're someone that likes that kind of stuff to stay on track. I kind of do in some ways. But others, maybe that doesn't feel right. Like it gets too, like there's too much pressure to it that way. So no plan, just, man, sometimes words are so tricky. It's like I need access to more languages because I feel like different languages, different cultures, right, probably have words that sometimes say what you're thinking or what you're feeling, what you're meaning, right? So this isn't a plan. This is not a schedule. It's not a routine. But maybe, I know, let's go with, maybe it's a rhythm. Like, maybe you could skip a beat. Maybe you could change tracks or artists or genres altogether. But maybe it's a rhythm. I think I could get behind that for this conversation. We're going to try that on for a minute. We'll just see if that suits us. Living well. So here's something I know about living well. You definitely know when you're not doing it. Yeah? You know exactly how it feels when you're off track. Like when you've lost the beat of the rhythm, whatever beat you are on. If you're doing something that isn't fully aligned with who you are or who you want to be, if you aren't doing something that you know would bring you joy or make you healthier or more fulfilled, or maybe it would just be freaking fun. We know because we don't feel great. Either physically, mentally, or emotionally, we know because something in our body and or our mind and or our heart feels off. It's like we're not in a groove. Life doesn't flow. There's no real ease or okayness with life. It feels like you're stuck or walking through quicksand. It can feel like you're continuously barking up the wrong tree. Have you ever had that sensation? Like you're banging your head against a wall and you're just not sure, like, why do I keep returning to this? Right? It can also feel like you're disassociated or just like completely disconnected from yourself. You feel like you can't quite get to you. Like for me, I sometimes feel like there's no me in me. Like there's not enough me in my life. It can feel like you're just kind of lost when you're not living well. And again, I think these are the places to check in. Check in with your mind, check in with your body, check in with your heart. We have these ways of communicating with ourselves, ways of sending ourselves messages and signals and inklings that, hey, something might be a little off here. And so you can tune in. And I think you can make this a kind of practical and tactical check-in with yourself. Make it a practice. So, notice yourself physically. Are you constantly tired? Do you have headaches or stomach aches? Do you feel sore because you're holding your body with so much tension? Do you feel sluggish or groggy? Or maybe you feel antsy and like you just can't sit still. So what do you notice in your body physically, regularly? Then also notice yourself mentally. What thoughts do you circle back to over and over again? Where does your mind turn into a NASCAR track, right? Just letting ideas and stories spin around and around. What beliefs do you hold on to that are limiting you, that are holding you back, that make you feel stuck? Where do you block your own opportunities? Where do you get hung up and churn through theme and variations of the same things so that maybe you aren't sleeping? Maybe you're distracted and unfocused. Maybe you lose sight of the present moment because you're lost in your mind. And emotionally, notice yourself emotionally. Do you feel heavy, tight, tense? Do you feel stressed or worried or overwhelmed or anxious? Do you get irritable? Are you quick to snap, quick to anger? Where are you impatient? Do you get annoyed or irritated easily? So these all may be signs of not living well, like of getting in your own way. Maybe you have a hunch about what you want or need in your life. Maybe you totally know what you want or need in your life. You're completely clear on what living well would look like, but you're not doing it. You're not going for it. So I've been reading a book by Brianna West. It's called The Mountain Is You. She says this in her book: let's be clear about something. To put an end to your self-sabotaging behavior absolutely means that change is on the horizon. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. It's going to cost you your comfort zone and your sense of direction. It's going to cost you your relationships and friends. It's going to cost you being liked and understood. It doesn't matter. The people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. You're going to build a new comfort zone around the things that actually move you forward. Instead of being liked, you're going to be loved. Instead of being understood, you're going to be seen. All you're going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are. Remaining attached to your old life is the first and final act of self-sabotage, and releasing it is what we must prepare for to truly be willing to see real change. So, living well, that was a little bit about what not living well is, right? How that looks, how it might speak to you. And living well, a little nugget from Brianna West about what it will cost you, what it will mean, and what it will look like to live well, right? Your new life is going to cost you your old one. That sounds big. I know, kind of dramatic, right? And listen, it doesn't have to be a whole life, right? You don't have to overhaul the whole thing. Sometimes it is. Lots of times it isn't. So think about it this way too. Your new habit, your new routine, your new thing, it's going to cost you your old one, right? They're mutually exclusive. You can't have both. You can't have both. So, how do we live well? What does that mean? How do we find it? Well, I can't stress this enough. There is no protocol. There is no prescription that says, do this and that, and read this and listen to that, and sleep like this and eat like this and do all these things, and then boom, you'll be living well. That's not a thing. And anyone trying to sell you that thing, ick, run. No, this is yours. You build this. All right, you create this. Now, that said, we're all pretty similar, you and me, and I think there are probably common building blocks for what living well looks like. I think the foundational pieces are the same, right? There's the real obvious ones: sleep, nutrition, drinking plenty of water, right? Those are a little prescriptive in the sense that humans are animals, and animals just need certain things, right? A certain amount of sleep, a certain amount of water, foods that fuel you and feel good in your body. So there's no one diet plan. There's no set number of hours to sleep, but you find this out for you, right? And then from there, we look again to the mind, the body, and the heart. These are the three things that we constantly address, that we ask questions of, that we care for. How do I live well for my mind, for my body, for my heart? So, okay, here are some ideas. Now, this is from my life, so please don't copy and paste this because it won't necessarily be the same for you. In fact, it won't be the same for you at all. Make this yours, all right? So for my mind, I love to read. I'm always reading a fiction book. I'm usually listening to a nonfiction book, and I have a handful of books that you don't really read cover to cover, right? Poetry, self-development, women's issues, health, psychology, Buddhism, meditation, stuff like that. More books, the better, I say. I also like to read about books, right? What's new? What's coming? What are the critics saying? What awards are authors winning? All that. I also like to know just enough about current events and the world. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of the news and the politics and all, but I stay on top of it. So I have a couple news sources, I have a couple podcasts that I listen to pretty much every day. Something else for my mind, something that I've been pretty good about over the years, and I'm now noticing that we're having this conversation that I'm not doing currently. I'm usually taking a course in something that serves my work. So I have long-term yoga teacher training programs. I did a 2-year mindfulness meditation teacher certification program. I like to take courses through online programs. Sometimes they're business related. Sometimes they're more like the meat and research of my work. I like to look at what colleges and universities are doing. I'm not at the moment, but this is something that I do often enough. I think it goes on the list. Also, some sillier stuff, some fun stuff for my mind. I love to do things like Wordle connections. Are you guys still doing Wordle? I do this every day. I love crossword puzzles. I love jigsaw puzzles. Oh, and I'm kind of sort of learning to play chess. Like actually learning to play real chess, grown-up chess, big girl chess, right? So there's more here, but this is what comes to mind for my mind at the moment. Just these different ways of like, if I'm to boil it all down, if I'm not fancy, not looking for too much extra, this is what I like to do. This is what works for me, right? And I know I'm not unique in this stuff, right? A lot of this works for a lot of people. All right, my body. This is another place, this is another bucket for us, of course, to consider when we want to pause, when we get really intentional about how to live well. Like, what does my body need? What does my body want? What makes my body feel good and rested and strong and flexible and resilient? Right? These are the things that I think about when I think about how to actually take care of my physical body. So I do a lot of yoga. That's pretty much a daily occurrence around here, as is walking. I like to hike when I can. And I, like a lot of you, I'm guessing, I spend a lot of time sitting when I'm working during the week. So I try and move as much as I can before and after the workday. Lots of yoga, lots of walking. Also, I love that practicing yoga and walking are both really sustainable activities, meaning I will be able to do them practically forever. You know, I also enjoy rock climbing, and I love to go hike like 14ers in Colorado, do more challenging things. Those are much less sustainable. Like, I won't be able to do those forever. They're fun for now. They take a totally different toll on the body. So I do this more sparingly because I'm playing the long game. I want to be around a while. I want to do things that I enjoy forever. So I focus on those two because they are so sustainable. Also, of course, this is where sleep and nutrition and drinking lots of water comes in. And I like to have a routine that winds me down to prepare me for good sleep. So, no heavy conversations, no big meals, no lots of stimulation right before bedtime for me. It doesn't work for me. Some of you can drink like 2 cups of coffee and go right to bed. Bravo. Like, it just would never work for me. So I try to protect my sleeping hours, meaning that starts much earlier in the day, right? I try to protect that as much as possible. It's just a non-negotiable. Things aren't eating into my sleep time regularly, right? It's something that I think about. I work into my day, into my week, into my month. It's important. Something else. I just keep water with me at all times. I just keep drinking water. It seems simple, but just make it really easy for yourself. Just have water with you at all times. And of course, nutrition. We touch on this. This is a biggie for all of us. Our relationship with food, the foods that work for each of us as individuals. Like, I was a vegetarian for many years, 15 years or something. And I realized after a while, it wasn't really working for me the way I wanted it to. I was just eating a lot of bread and a lot of cheese, right? I ate a lot of vegetables too. I'm not much of a fruit person, but I was just eating a ton of carbs and a lot of cheese. So I added meat back in. That was, 6 or 7 years ago now. I have a decent feel for how it's working for me, right? It's been a while. I feel better. I feel stronger. I have more energy. I get full faster. It just works better for me. So, okay, I did the experiment both ways, right? Now I know. Other people can go vegan forever and they feel great. Awesome. We have to find these things out for ourselves. This isn't easy. This isn't quick. It's certainly not like taking a pill or whatever, right? But be willing to experiment with this. And I don't mean experiment with it for a week. I don't mean giving something up for a weekend or trying something for a month and then thinking or telling yourself you know what's up. I mean years. Like, see how it really works, right? Okay. Lastly, my heart. Emotions, feelings, wants, the heart. And this one, buddy, this one, for me, the other two are much more obvious. Like, they're tangible. I can kind of sink my teeth into them. Probably comes from that desire to get those straight A's in school. It's very clear, very tangible goals, pursuits of exercise and sleep and all. I just get it. For me, that all makes really good sense. I know that's not true across the board. But for me, all that stuff, it seems obvious. It comes pretty naturally. It's very clear. However, for some of you, feelings are this way. And No, matters of the heart. This is probably partly or a lotly because I'm an Enneagram 3 too. I don't know, the achiever. So feelings, it's like my heart is a little tricky. Letting myself want things, knowing what I want, feeling things, just sitting in the experience of feeling emotions and letting that be, like letting it be a thing that happens, right? That you don't have to do anything or accomplish or produce or create or take action. You can just sit and feel. Like, what? So, yeah, how do I live well for my heart? Well, honestly, a lot of it comes from what I've already shared regarding my mind and my body, because I know that sounds like a cop-out, but I do truly enjoy and love those things. Reading, yoga, walking, cooking, right? Eating healthy food, having a ritual in the afternoons and the evenings so that I wind down and protect my sleep. All of that is genuinely enjoyable to me. So, again, maybe this is kind of a cop-out. I don't know. I think it does. I think it can fall into matters of the heart. This one I think is also about connection, right? The people in my life, my kids, my family, my friends, colleagues, neighbors, just humanity at large. Feeling a sense of belonging, that sense that we're all in this together, like we talked about in the community episode. Yeah, connection. This also, and this is big, I think for me, this is a matter of listening to myself, knowing myself, like letting myself see myself, understand myself, that whole self-awareness thing. This is big. I am really good at abandoning myself in the pursuit of mind and body stuff. I'm pretty good at dismissing my heart in the interest of someone else's heart, like what someone else wants or needs from me. I'm pretty good at ignoring myself in order to people please and to make things easy or convenient for the people around me. Pretty good at that job. Yeah. So when I think about living well and I think about these three elements, mind, body, heart, right? The mental, the physical, the emotional. I also think about, well, here's another example. Back in 2021, when I had like OG COVID, one of those early gnarly variants that was pre-vaccine and everything, and I just went down for like 4 weeks. The world becomes very small when you're that sick. Things get right-sized perspective-wise. You get a very solid idea of what matters when things like that happen. And you know what I'm talking about, right? You've had illnesses, injuries, diagnoses, grief, right? You've dealt with things that just bring you to your knees. Again, whether that's your metaphorical, mental, or emotional knees, or, hey, even your real life physical knees. When you're just at a real low and you go, oh, I see. This is what matters. Nothing else can even enter in here now. Okay. Yeah, I see it differently now. Which is to say, I see it. Yeah. Okay. And from there, you see, here's all I need. It's not even a want in that moment, is it? It's all need. And this is actually an enlightening moment if we pay attention to it. It's eye-opening. It right-sizes everything. We see what matters. And I tell you what, living well, it's alive in those moments. All right, this is getting long. Take 2. I need to stop. I like to keep these short and sweet. And I'm not exactly sure that I made this any better. So I'm going to definitely return to this topic. I already jotted it down to do a take 3, take 4, take 5. And I guess I'm kind of curious if I keep talking about this, saying it again and again, how vital living well is, right? What else we can unearth together in this conversation. There's a simplicity to this topic right? A reminder that really all we ever have to do is take care of ourselves. All we ever have to do is live well. Everything we want and need is under that umbrella. Always. But when I think about living well, I do return to these components every time. Mind, body, and heart. And I ask really simple questions of myself. What do I need right now? What do I want? How can I move closer to myself? Am I ignoring or dismissing or abandoning myself in any way right now? Where? How? Is there something I feel pulled towards? Is there something I'm thinking, feeling, or doing that feels terrible? And I use these really simple mile markers as ways to guide myself home. It's like using a compass and constellations to get home. Like, it's not the most direct, right? It's not a step-by-step GPS guidance system, for sure. But it works. And it's the best tool I know of. Watching how my mind and my body and my heart are doing. And asking myself open-ended questions that allow my own wisdom to show up and speak. Okay, the more I say on this, the more I can think of to say on this. I'm going to close for now. That's enough for today. I want to hear from you on this, though. Please. So get a hold of me. You can reach me through my website, always. Or remember, you can visit featuredup.com/transforminganxiety. You can either write me a note or you can leave me a voicemail. So fun. All right. I will see you at the same time, same place-ish, unless it's Thursday again, next week for more Transforming Anxiety. And until then, please take care. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for doing this work alongside me. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and your family, anyone who, could use the support and the guidance, who could use these teachings and practices. Thank you for sharing your stories with me, telling me about your experiences and asking your questions. I'm here with you. Let's do this together. Transforming Anxiety.